Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Garage Gym Athlete Podcast. I'm your host, Jerred Moon. The Garage Gym Athlete Podcast is a result of my desire to build better humans, unequivocal coaches, and autonomous athletes. I've spent the last several years obsessing over program design, nutrition, and every other way you can optimize human performance. This podcast distills the latest scientific research with what I've learned and blends it with the not-so-scientific field of mental toughness. We are here to build you into a dangerously effective athlete. If you enjoy this podcast, you can find out more about our training at garagegymathlete.com. And if you want to pursue more into the field of coaching and programming, head to endof3fitness.com. Thanks for listening. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Garage Gym Athlete Podcast. Jerred Moon here with Chocolate Lover and Joe Courtney.
What's up?
I read the names on the screen, all right, people? So if you're going to start putting different names on there, that's just what's going to be read.
Hey, I'm totally fine with that because it's not a false statement.
Yeah, so today we are talking about chocolate, and this was per
Ron?
the community.
Ron Burgundy.
Not
Ron Burgundy. Ron, what was the last name?
Peroni.
Ron Peroni. So if you're listening, we're diving a little bit deeper into a post you put in the Facebook group about dark chocolate because we all found it very interesting. And I don't know, I probably spent 2 or 3 hours just realizing how much research there is on dark chocolate.
It's a crap ton.
Yeah, and there is a lot. And so how I did not already know some of this is surprising to me that it hasn't come up in any other circles. But we are talking about that today. So we're going to be talking about dark chocolate, how it can increase your performance. We have a book review today, Dark Horse, that we're going to cover. And then we'll cover Meet Yourself Saturday workout. But how's the challenge going for everybody? The 300/200 daily over decades challenge. Joe, you can take it first. And how does it make you feel?
I had a fantastic week this week, and so I am feeling great. Now that we're fully in Monterey, I had a full week of we're staying on base. The gym was right across the street. Awesome gym there. If you haven't seen any of my posts, it's a pretty good setup, even though we have to wear masks during, but that's a whole nother thing. So yeah, got 5 days in, which was pretty good. It was really good. I even did a Meet Yourself Saturday, which I never do, as you might know.
It's only because you created the Meet Yourself Saturday. Let's be for real.
And I just wanted to use the 100-pound med ball. I just saw it there ever since I got there, and I was like, I'm gonna find a reason to use that thing.
I think he created it, and it was unedited because it's not like this is his first idea for a Meet Yourself Saturday. Normally, he might bring something, and I'm like, "That's a great idea. Let's add a mile and burpees to it." And he's like, "I don't want to do it anymore." Okay,
yeah.
My idea was fine.
Yeah, ruin everything.
Yeah. So we should just let Joe come up with more Meet Yourself Saturdays, and he will do more.
It's just when I wanted to have some fun.
Fat and Sugar was just a running workout when we started, and Joe loved that. And then I ruined it.
It's still in my watch. That's the only Fat and Sugar I'm going to do. The OG original version. But surprisingly, my recovery's been way better too. Like being able to get back to training more, but my recovery is just like awesome here. I don't know why what it is. It's just like really clean air.
That California air.
About a move.
Yeah.
Right. Something in the water. So it's great right now.
Awesome.
Ashley, how do you feel?
I'm feeling pretty good. We did a squat workout for strength yesterday, and it was funny because
we did.
Yeah, and everybody's posting, and I was laughing because I was like, oh man, this kind of proves the study from last week's theory, and I don't think anyone got above 85%. So I was like,
to a T.
Yeah. But I'm on day 19 as of today. I finished it this morning. And it's going great. It's a good time, and meeting all the minutes, meeting all the calories. Life is good. Connor's out there with me, so it's fun he cracks me up. He does all sorts of things, like because I do like a mix of yoga and strength stuff. Like I'm out there doing burpees for the whole burpee penalty thing for the front rack carry today, and he's doing a 3-legged dog. I'm like, you're cracking me up, but no. So it's going well. Jerred, how about you?
That's going well. I wanted to have the perfect January 31 days, but it looks like I'll have one day missed.
Dun,
But
dun, dun.
I hit 6 days for the previous week, and what happened was I wasn't, to be honest, I wasn't really motivated. I had already hit 300 minutes in like everything by Friday, and then I still trained on Saturday. Then it was Sunday, and I was like, you know what? I'll just probably do like a light run at the end of the day today or something like that. That's kind of what I've been doing if I need to get something extra in. And then Emily got food poisoning, like really bad food poisoning Sunday around like 4 p.m. And so I was taking care of her and taking care of the kids, and just to be honest, didn't feel comfortable being like, good luck, I'll be outside, like I'm gonna go work out. So I have found my weakness, and that's probably my family. If that's the only thing that would make me like ditch the challenges if they actually needed me for something, because it wasn't even a question. I was like, no, I'm not gonna. I already hit what I needed to maintain the 300 minutes. Everything else, like I'm not gonna just do this vanity session for an extra to get a perfect January. So I did skip out on that one, but other than that, only missed one day in January. So it's going well, and I feel good about it. I keep saying it, like it is pushing me to a different level, you know, just of maintaining that discipline to get that many minutes every single week, and making sure I'm focused on how many calories I burn each and every single session. So I am enjoying it, and it is bringing back some discipline. So I like it.
Would the kids stay outside with you? Like if you trained for, like 40, 45 minutes?
Would they?
Yeah. Like if you brought all three of them, I'm like, hey, entertain yourselves outside.
Maybe.
Oh, okay.
Maybe for like a 20-minute workout. It's really Eleanor at this point. The boys will do whatever. She's not a great workout partner.
So the challenge then is to get 300 calories in 20 minutes. Well, I guess it's only if you need extra minutes, it's not too long. But
yeah, I didn't need it. That's the reason I didn't do it, is because I was like, I don't need this for any reason, so I'm not going to do it. Yeah. Had I been like in that situation where it's like Sunday and I needed 30 minutes or whatever, then yeah, it would have just been like, okay, like we're going to figure this out, you know? And, I'll just move until my body hits 300 calories. But you guys talking about hard workouts, we had Hard to Kill yesterday. And it has that the simple complex in it. So it's got like the 7 different movements with the 6 by. I hadn't done that in a while. And I think I went a little too heavy, and it was kicking my ass every single time.
What weight did you use?
I started at 165.
Sure.
And
nice.
It was fine for everything except for the push press. I don't really know what I was thinking. I was like, the squats were fine. Everything was fine. And then I was like, why did I think I was just going to push press this like super easily after doing all this other stuff? And so I went down to 135, and that was much more manageable. But my brother cracks me up. Have you guys seen, is it Superbad?
Yeah.
So have you seen Superbad, Joe?
Yeah, I just don't know the reference to it yet.
Oh, I'm about to tell you the reference. You got to know if you've seen the movie first. So in the cop is,
if we know the movie, but I don't know if it's the movie you want.
Superbad. There's only one Superbad, right?
Yes, I think so. I don't know.
Okay, so when the cop is chasing the kid, and then like the kid gets away or whatever, and he's like, fastest kid alive. Yeah. He's like super out of breath, and then like starts throwing up. That's what my brother does every time we do something incredibly taxing like that. He is doing the barbell complex, and then like he'd set the barbell down after he was all done. And then, he's like breathing, has hands on his knees, and he's like, fastest kid alive. And it just cracks me up every single time. So that's what I start doing now after the barbell complex, because it's pretty awful.
So you can row 165 pounds?
Row?
Like barbell row.
Oh, yeah.
That's impressive.
I can row a lot.
Like kipping that thing.
Yeah. I could probably row more than I can press.
Yeah.
Maybe it's
I think rowing becomes like a grip issue for me more than like a back strength issue. Like it's like kind of like a deadlift. Did a lot of rowing back in the day. I actually wish I had one of those like machines, like where not machine. Well, it's kind of a machine, I guess.
The chest
where,
thing?
Yeah, like you lay your chest on it and you pull it up. I love those things. I get good at pull-ups. Get one of those.
The rowing, because.
All right, we'll get into the study now. All right. So it's kind of a study. It's kind of not. What we did was actually looked at the article that was provided in the Facebook group, which I thought I had pulled up.
From Runner's World.
Yeah, here it
I
is.
found it myself. It was just mentioned the dark chocolate, so I just went to Googling, and this article I was actually linking to studies, so that's why I wanted to do it, because like it's good for them to actually provide sources.
Yeah, so the title of the article is 5 Science-Backed Ways Dark Chocolate Can Boost Your Workout. And then each part does link to a study, which I dove into each study a little bit more. So it talks about increasing your aerobic capacity, reducing inflammation, mental benefits, cognitive benefits. And then one of them was a little bit of a stretch. They were kind of like, hey, it has some caffeine in it, and caffeine is an amazing supplement, but that's a stretch because there's not a lot of caffeine in chocolate, not enough to get the benefits. And so, yeah, we can kind of dive into these. I went into a lot of the mechanisms and the why behind it was kind of where I focused my research time for this article. But I'd love to hear your thoughts on dark chocolate, kind of as a supplement for performance and everything else. What do you guys think?
Did in the first one, or I think there was only one study that I saw that actually mentioned the percentage of cacao that was used. Cacao that was used. So like
cacao.
Yeah,
it's cocoa and cacao. Yeah.
Whatever. So
we're gonna have to get clear on that when we start, because it's gonna be probably said a lot, right?
Yeah. The first study, I didn't see like the actual percentage, because when you go to the store, you see the percentage like 85%. But the second one mentioned 70% of that. So anyway, we'll just go in order, I guess. The first one is about VO2 max. It was sedentary people. So and first I was kind of raising my eyebrow, like, okay, we just have sedentary people that are not even training during, they're just taking like a before and after. And the after test was on a bike. It was a bike ergometry, whichever that is, but I know they've mentioned wearing a mask to do their VO2 max. And somehow the VO2 max improved. But I think a lot of this, especially with chocolate, is that chocolate has a lot of great stuff, and dark chocolate has a lot of great stuff. And I think it's like a byproduct of the antioxidants and other things that it has. Is kind of one of my main takeaways for it, pretty much a lot of these things, because like they mentioned the antioxidants, either some might have some sugar or some caffeine, and all these things can make you feel good and have good effects, but it's not just like chocolate is the way to go. So that was kind of a brief of my thoughts in general. The second one, it was just mentioned that it helped inflammation and mood, and the only thing I got was that you have to have at least 70% cacao. And
okay, okay, yeah,
cacao. Damn it,
cacao. I tried to establish it.
And right after you said that, I was like, wait, which one did he say again?
Cacao.
Okay. And then the chocolate and depression one, that one seemed a little bit off to me. I wasn't really kind of on board with it. Like, it was a super large study. All they did was like send out it, from what I read, all they did was like send out a survey kind of thing. And they asked people if they consumed chocolate, and if they did consume chocolate, did they feel they were depressed? And like, did it help? What? Siri is deciding to talk to me right now for some reason. I don't know why.
Hey Siri, tell us about dark chocolate.
Yeah, I think it's trying to tell me where dark chocolate is. All right, well, thank you for that. Yeah, so the last one on depression, I didn't really feel like that one, like it I don't know if it's like a chicken or egg situation, how they did that study, whether like if people just hear about, oh, well, maybe I should just eat chocolate. So like I'm eating chocolate and this is going to make me better. So I'm not as depressed anymore because I'm eating chocolate, because it's already like, I feel like it's been widely known to like, hey, if you're feeling down, eat some chocolate. I don't know. The VO2 max one was the coolest one to me, I think. And that was the one that actually had like the biggest, I think, study was actual like parameters that we would normally go over. But again, I think that was also, could have been some other things with antioxidants, which we've covered in tart cherry juice and some other things like that. So Ashley, what are some of your thoughts on
I'm going to caveat on cacao and cocoa.
Yes.
So I actually liked the one. So I actually read the, it's like an overall article on PMC, and I'll link that one because I think that has literally every study on it overall. So if you guys are show notes people, we'll have that one linked. But I liked it. It was actually, they studied people who did no chocolate, people who did chocolate. And again, we're talking dark chocolate, like 70% and above. And people who did other candy, like even if it had chocolate in it, like other candy. And they found that the dark chocolate people, and again, like, yeah, it was kind of a survey, but I mean, how else are you going to measure mental like depression? I don't know, that they had to talk about. But I found that was cool. Like that was a positive thing, that dark chocolate could potentially help with mood, like a mood lifter, if you will. I know it helps my mood for sure. But the positive ingredients for me, 70% and above is what we were talking about here. And no added sugar, which I'll get to for my killing comfort. But fiber in 70% and above is about 1.7 grams per serving, which is not a lot in the grand scheme of things. But I was like, that's cool. Like, because I've never like got into the ingredients of dark chocolate and gone like, what's healthy here for me, right? And then a mineral that they talked about that was really that helps too is magnesium. Like there's dietary magnesium, potassium, and calcium in it, obviously, but magnesium was like 36 milligrams of it, which is only about 30% of what they recommend for I think a daily dose. But anyways, I thought that was cool that it had magnesium and fiber in it. And then some of the studies or health outcomes that I found that were positive was the Japanese study, where they found the risk of diabetes was reduced to 35%. And again, we're not talking like these people are consuming massive amount of dark chocolate here. They're consuming a serving, which is like a square or a little portion of a bar, right? Or even potentially 2 servings. Like it's not like it's a ton of dark chocolate. We're not talking, hey, go get a whole bar of dark chocolate and consume the whole thing every single day. Like, no, this is not what we're talking about. And then it also said that it helps reduce inflammation, which you kind of touched on because of the whole antioxidant things. So do you care if I just dive into my takeaway in killing comfort?
Go for it.
So my takeaway for this is like, I think dark chocolate is delicious. Some people hate the like bitter flavor of it, but I think there are good enough benefits to consume it. But obviously, like I said, maybe a serving. And it doesn't necessarily have to be every day. Like it could be every other day, or like a nice treat on the weekend, or something like that. And 70% and above is what every single one of these studies have said that is what shows the most benefits. So anything below that probably shouldn't dabble in. Also, read labels. That's my killing comfort for this. Don't buy anything that has any added sugar, including sugar substitutes like monk fruit and stevia and erythritol and all of that mess. So some brands, if you want to maybe test all these theories out, is Thrive Market has like a paleo dark chocolate, which if you're saying the word paleo, it means there's no added sugar to it. Evolved is my favorite dark chocolate. Emily actually got me onto this, and it used to be they used to have like it's almost like a peanut butter cup, but it has like cashew nut butter in there instead or something. Those are bomb. And then Good Sam has no added sugar dark chocolate, again 70% above. But Jerred,
Good recommendations there. Yeah, so I dove into this, and I read all the same studies. So increases VO2 max, helps with mood. There seem to be a lot of cognitive benefits associated with cacao and taking it. And you can just get it 100% raw, organic powder form. Fairly easy to do. Tastes awful. It tastes pretty bad. I mean, similar to if you were to just like ground coffee into a powder and then probably try and eat it. It's similar, just super bitter. But I just made I guess it'd be called like a latte this morning with cacao, just for the podcast.
kicks and
So
giggles.
it was like oat milk, couple grams of cacao, raw organic, and That's basically it. So kind of bitter, but still fine. And feel great, but I always feel great. So who knows if it's, who knows if it's working. But anyway, I dove into it, and the underlying mechanism seems to be mitochondrial efficiency, which we've talked about quite a bit on the podcast, and like ways that you can help in training. Zone 2 helps train your mitochondria to become more efficient. And beets are another one. It's a different pathway, but it seems to be the same ultimate, like helps the mitochondria, helps what is the word I'm looking for? Nitric oxide production. That's it. And so in dark chocolate seems to do the same thing, just like I said, through a different pathway. And then the specific flavanol that helps, very hard to pronounce, it's epicatechin. Epicatechin. Yeah. So EPICATECHIN, if anyone wants to Google it, but there seems to be a lot. Like that's the main thing. That's the main flavanol that like helps with everything. And if you dive into like deeper studies on that, it can inhibit myostatin, which there are theories that this is like, if you can inhibit myostatin, you will have no limit to how much muscle growth that you can get. Again, these are theories, not as much science-based, slight science, but not enough studies to be like, yeah, this is it. So there's that. There's the VO2 max properties. And so, the big takeaway is just seeming to be eating these darker flavanols and increasing nitric oxide production, like beetroot. Dark chocolate does it. There are a lot of like dark leafy greens. Like we talk about all these things. They all have very similar benefits. So I think having these in your diet in some way is good for you. But the one I feel like where dark chocolate is going to edge out beetroot specifically is if you look at all the cognitive benefits, and not necessarily the depression that they were talking about, but it seems to have a lot of like neuroprotective benefits. And there's a lot of research on that with dark chocolate right now. And dark chocolate has the same, stuff that like wine does, like a red wine. But I mean, I would much rather try and get all the benefits from dark chocolate as opposed to consuming alcohol for looking for health benefits, right? And so you could do that. Reduces inflammation. It seems, pretty legit and super easy to add to almost anything. Ron was talking about adding it to his coffee, which I think is a good way to go about it. Probably an easy way just to, you're essentially making kind of like a mocha at that point. And like I said, if you get the raw stuff, there's no sugar involved, no sweetener involved, not as fun, right? This is not a chocolate bar that's enjoyable. This is like a powder that tastes like crap that's going to help you, but you could try it out. You can definitely try it out. I think overall my killing comfort, very similar, is that if you really just want the benefits, go no sugar. Just try to get the raw stuff and try it out. If you want to enjoy yourself a little bit, that's fine too, but just know how to do it. Don't just start eating a bunch of chocolate. Yeah, because I just can't imagine doing that. Like it's also, I think that'd be a really expensive habit. I don't know what chocolate bars cost. I don't know if I've ever actually bought one before. Emily definitely has and brought them home.
Can be pretty expensive, but if you're getting like a Hershey's dark chocolate bar, those things are cheap, but they have so much sugar in them.
So an evolved dark chocolate bar, what am I talking about cost wise?
Probably $4.
Yeah,
maybe
it's $4 per workout. It's going to get expensive. So
eat a little sliver.
I would get I'd get the raw powder. I feel like we always have that stuff at my house. I think Emily uses it for different things, and so and it seems like it lasts forever. And I don't know how much it costs, but I know it's probably like $10-15 if I had to guess, and lasts for a very long time because you just use small amounts.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's about it on this. I think it's definitely worth a try. Main thing to athletes, between brain benefits, I don't think you're going to see a huge increase in your VO2 max like you did the sedentary people, but I think you could see something. And to note on those, it's like a 3-month window that you need to be taking it, like 90 days of consumption, and not so much like beetroot. There's a lot of benefit like per session, like in a session.
Yeah, immediately.
I think these things actually compound over time if you're taking over a long period of time. So it would be like add to your coffee every day for several months and see kind of what benefits that you can track.
That's assuming people would rather have dark chocolate than beets.
I mean,
Yeah.
that I would definitely choose dark chocolate over beets.
Well, beets, I don't even care which one it is. Beets is always harder to consume. It's even, I mean, you could get the supplement, like the powder, which I guess would be similar to cacao, but it's a little bit different.
Can't put
Way
that in
tart.
anything.
Yeah, you can't do anything with that, right? You just have to drink it. So it's not.
So
And
tart.
I think, like I said, I think that in my opinion, cacao edges it out a little bit because of all of the mental benefits. And it has very similar VO2 max and like performance benefits as beetroot. But then there's like cacao edges out beetroot juice in like one category. So I would rather go cacao if I had to pick at this point.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Then just your comment on the VO2 max part, because I didn't really talk about it with the study. That study and how it raised their VO2 max, they had 20 grams a day for 3 months, which was a half a bar. They were having a half a Hershey bar every day for 3 months in order to get that VO2 max bump.
That's very
excessive.
interesting. So focus on your mitochondria. All right. I think mitochondria is the ultimate takeaway. You guys have anything else?
No, I really liked the
I
study.
don't think so.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Thanks, Ron.
Thanks, Ron.
Everybody in the community start doing some form of dark chocolate in some capacity. All right, now we'll get into the book. Dark Horse, Achieving Success Through the Pursuit of Fulfillment by Todd Rose and another author that Joe's going to say, not me.
He's going to type it in Google right now.
I don't even know who it is. I don't have that written down.
Yeah, no, there are two authors, Joe. We'll wait. I'll just talk a little bit more about what the I've butchered enough authors' names, so I'll let you get the co-author.
Augie Bogas.
There we go.
He butchered cacao.
All right, so
Bogas, maybe.
Funny story how this book came about. We were reading some other book. I don't even remember what it was. And they mentioned the Dark Horse study from Harvard and that it had been turned into a book. And we both didn't really like the book that we were, or none of us really liked the book that we were reading. And so we were immediately like, okay, let's go read Dark Horse. And so
it was The Practice of Groundedness.
Okay. The Practice of Groundedness. Who was that by? That was
Brad Stolberg.
Yeah, he wrote Peak Performance. And so anyway, giving him some credit, we didn't truly love his book. Sorry. I'm sure it was great. We weren't in the mood for it at the time. Maybe we'll circle back. But Dark Horse by Todd Rose, we enjoyed and we dove into, and there's an actual study at Harvard. You can even type in like the Dark Horse Project Harvard if you want to Google it. And they're really, it's very interesting. And the book was interesting, but I think the project is more interesting because what they're looking at are people who have achieved their own definition of success, which I think is very important to note. They have their own level of success, and they did that through pursuing fulfillment by finding out what motivates them and pursuing those specific things. And that's kind of what the book is about, is defining your own success and pursuing fulfillment and, chasing that, as opposed to the more traditional modes of success, which, is more like status or money. These are the typical things that people chase. But once you kind of get away from that and you really just run your own race, I think that you get a lot more fulfillment and a lot more happiness out of life. And I would say that that's far more important than probably anything else. And that's the big reason I wanted to read the book, because though that's all that really matters. I think being fulfilled and happy, independent of how much money you make, is the most important thing, because you hear the stories all the time of rich people who are depressed or contemplating suicide and all these things. It's not like those are the answers, right? Successful people struggle. But these people struggle less because they set the right goals in life. Now, that's kind of the big idea. We can talk more about that. Down to the book itself, what we thought as far as actually reviewing the book. I'll let one of you kick it off. Like, what'd you think of the book from a review standpoint?
Ashley, go ahead.
Okay. So I liked it. I didn't love it, but I liked it. I knew what he was getting at. I know he's written another book. I think it's called like The End of Average or something like that. So I think that is kind of going along with this one, because he's talking about like the standard to be successful. And he's saying that there's this mold that society / schools and jobs have created. And basically, you have to fit in this little box in order to work your way up from a company, or I guess pass all your classes and whatnot, and make good grades, I'm assuming, from like standardized testing and stuff. And his whole point of this whole book is to break free of that. Like, he's saying, break the mold, get out of this cookie cutter standardized testing. That is not what makes you successful. And so then he goes into tons of stories and elaborations on how people tried to fit that mold, how they tried to do other jobs, and then they found out that they really enjoyed doing like one certain thing of their job or a few certain things of their job, and not the full job itself. And so then they transitioned into different forms of work, which is kind of cool. Like, one lady I think she was a press secretary in DC. And then she ends up finding that she loves organizational skills. Like, that's the one thing that brings her happiness and joy. So then she transitions to a job of, she literally organizes like people's closets and pantries and stuff like that. Which she's super popular on Instagram and social media and stuff like that, because she posts a lot of stuff. One of the things that I really liked was one of the chapters was called Know Your Motivation. And so we kind of talk about this a ton. For us, we always say, know your why. And I feel like it's the exact same principles here. Like, it's know why you are doing what you're doing. And he's trying to say that is going to help you, because just like Jerred said, there's going to be times of struggle, and knowing your motivation, knowing your why is what keeps you going in order to continue on with whatever it is that you love to do. I will let Joe talk before I give my barbell rating, because we like to do all that at the end. But Joe, what did you feel about the book?
I liked it more than I thought I was going to. I was kind of surprised by it, and because a lot of times these books, they just like harp on a ton of success stories, and this one did have a lot of success stories that you can't always associate with. But I loved his frame of reference on certain things, like and standardization and fulfillment. And you already talked a little bit about standardization and how it's not always the way. And I think internet has helped a little bit in recent times for people to break off into just being able to do what they want, and like more to open it up to more independent, smaller businesses that can just completely run online on their out of their houses or whatever. So a lot of good thinking there as far as standardization goes. Education was a big one that I like that he addressed, because I just think personally as a whole, the education system is pretty bad and could do with a lot less standardized and such. So encouraging non-standardized thinking, a little bit outside the box thinking, I really, really liked. I think that can be applied to a lot of things, because people get stuck in certain ways of what they should do, how they should be. It's whether it's society, your neighborhood, everybody's kind of like this. So maybe I should be like this, but maybe you should just actually do whatever the heck you want instead. And it also reminded me of Smarter, Faster, Better, another book that I really, really like as far as standardization goes, because they went into, it was like a car factory they went into, and they were always doing this process for how they were making cars for the longest time. And that was like the process. People had to stay in their lane, but they had like the most accidents and mishaps and waste in anywhere. So they brought in like people from Japan who had that had all these better ways of thinking and doing, because they weren't pigeonholed into staying in their lane. They had a non-standardized way of going about things, and it increased productivity and efficiency a lot. So Smarter, Faster, Better is also just a book that I really, really like from past. But then for attaining fulfillment, also really like that, because there's different levels and different references for what success is to you. You don't need to whether it's make a lot of money, whether it's more time freedom, independent freedom, moving, whatever it is. attaining your own fulfillment and whatever you think a success is was a good thing to put out there, because so often success is measured the same ways of money and such. I found this funny but also helpful, his bite about micro motives, and how find out what your micro motives are by how you judge others. So like however you judge people on their jobs and how they do, if you're judging them by that, then maybe you don't want to be something like that, but like similarly like that. I thought that was funny, but it was also just kind of cool to think of your micro motives as to, think of the reasons why, or what you judge others by sometimes. And then that might be a little bit illuminating as to what you should not be doing, and then kind of branch off the other way. So, and then lastly, there's a bit about joining an industry, so a standardized industry, but so you don't necessarily have to go off to your own beaten path and just be completely original, but you can actually join an industry, but change the standardization of that industry from within, which he said a story about that as well, about a midwife, which I thought was really cool, because it's not always going to be, you have these stories where somebody does a complete 180 pivot in their career and is a complete success. And that just seems like hard to relate at times, and a little bit far-fetched, because there's also a lot of failure to that. But you can also still go into an industry and think of it as a way of, okay, I'm in this standardized industry, but I can still make a change and make it less standardized and improve it some. So I liked a lot of those things that he brought up. I just think the frame of reference and outside the box thinking, and just like a way to sit back and going against the grain of what most people think, was really cool. Just a lot of the stories, one of them in particular, it eventually got better, but at first I was just like, this is weird why he's telling us all this stuff. Jerred.
I think it's a great book. I have some more technical problems with it, but the message is very powerful and something I want my kids to understand. And I feel like I've had kind of this idea from an early age of and I didn't even know it, but when I was first getting or finishing high school and going into college, I didn't really know 100% what I wanted to do. And I remember talking to my uncle, who's a doctor of pharmacy, and he's like, maybe you want to be a pharmacist. Let's talk about it. So we talked about it. And I remember he was telling me about how easy his job was, and how much money he made and those kind of things. And then I kept asking him questions. I'm like, yeah, but do you enjoy what you study? And is the research interesting? And he was like, yeah, I guess. But he was trying to focus on these other things that I just innately didn't feel as they were as important. Right. I was like, I don't care that much. And then the reason I decided to eventually go down the pilot path was that reason. I was like, this would be fun. Who cares how much money I make? I'm not really interested in that. Let's have some fun, choose a career doing that. So to be honest, it was either going to be special operations or pilot. And I ended up fully deciding on being a pilot because I met Emily fairly early on in college. Had I not met her, I probably would have never pursued being a pilot at all. And I would have pursued being in special operations to some degree. But those are always my decisions. Trying to do things based off of fulfillment and what I would enjoy. And I don't know where that came from. I didn't read research on it early on. It was just that made more sense to me. And I see it in a lot of younger people. I call it the doctor lawyer syndrome, where you might be a fairly driven, fairly smart. So you feel like you should be pushed towards being a doctor, like a medical doctor, or being a lawyer, because these are these more prestigious careers. But what you might end up finding is that you hate your life once you get into that career, because you start at the bottom in some partner in law firm that you might hate. Maybe you break off and do your own thing and you actually do enjoy it. But and same with the medical field, there are lots of ways you can hate your life in the medical world, until maybe you find your own path and you enjoy what you're doing. There's always that opportunity, but to be successful, you don't have to chase this, what would be deemed a prestigious career. And then same with just making money side of things. That's never going to fulfill you. There's no number that's going to be oh yeah, this is it. And by the way, no one else gives a shit how much money you make. No one actually cares, because it's not their money. So they don't actually care what you're doing. They might be jealous for two seconds, and that's all you got. So if that makes you feel good, that's a weird place to be in. So I think this is a message I definitely want to hit home to my kids. Pursue fulfillment, understand what makes you tick. And I think he did a good job talking about that in the book of like if you like something, you need to dissect the why behind why you like it. And I watched a lot of interviews with him too on in prepping for the podcast, because he did some with like CBS and other things. And a quick side note on that, I found it really interesting. The people who were interviewing him were older, and they had this very like negative stance on pursuing fulfillment. Like it was a dreamer's idea. And sometimes you just got to shut up and do the work. And I get that to some degree, but what Joe was mentioning, like we live in a different world and a different economy now. Like if you have something to teach and you have a video camera, you could probably, if you try hard enough, make a living online with these micro online businesses with 0 employees and just like yourself. And you could support yourself or your family.
Don't
doing
even
these
need a
things.
degree these days.
Yeah, like you can be successful doing a lot of things. So anyway, I found it weird that he thought, or that they kind of had a more negative stance on pursuing fulfillment, because I think that was more of a pipe dream back in the day, but it's absolutely not anymore. And it's something that you absolutely should do. You know, if you're like sitting here on the fence about, you know what, maybe I should get out of this career that I hate and make less money doing something that I love, in my opinion, you should absolutely do something that you love, even if it's less money. Because there's also always going to be an opportunity for you to make more money doing that thing. You never know where the opportunities are going to lead. And so I think pursuing your fulfillment, you'll just be a lot happier. And I know that's also what I've done ever since I left the military, and knowing where you fit and you don't fit. Like I was a horrible fit for the military. My competitive nature made me good at the military, because if you were just like, here are the standards, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to beat every single one of you. Like the only reason I wanted to do that is because you told me the standards and you gave me competition. That made me good at the military. What made me horrible at the military was people being put in charge of me who I found to be stupid or inefficient.
Yeah.
I had a lot of problem with that. So I wouldn't have survived a 20-year career in the slightest. Like I would have been freaking mad. Like I would not have been able to do it. I can't do it. So like I knew after being removed from the pilot world, I was like, this is not flying and having fun. This is not special operations anymore. This is crappy. This is crappy Air Force stuff.
I loved how you still pursued like special operations stuff still, like just in a different way, you know?
Yeah.
What I mean?
And there's a big story behind that. Like why my commanders at the time, like put me where they put me and all this other stuff. Cause there was still this idea of like, I was going to do it. And, I just couldn't do it. Like I was so close multiple times. And then I had a lot of great leadership and mentorship there. But then William was born, Graham was on the way when I had to make that decision. And I was like,
right,
I can't do this. I can't, I want to, but I can't do it. So I ended up not going all in there. But anyway, I think knowing all these things is really important. Now, the only thing I didn't like about the book was his use of the stories. He didn't sell me enough. Every time I heard one of his stories, he didn't sell me enough or give me enough reason on why that person was successful. And I mean, I even mean from their own definitions of success. I'm not saying my definition of success didn't match up, but like he wouldn't give me enough background information to understand why that person is now deemed successful, either to themselves or by others. He kind of like hinted around it, like, oh, this person loved to tailor clothes and they became a tailor. And I'm like, okay, but there's not enough of that fulfillment story behind it to me. It was a lot more about people switching careers dramatically to do something more that they enjoyed, but I didn't understand like what their criteria for success was. And that's what I wanted to hear more of, because I think that that's really important. Like if you need to sit down and define, hey, like here are my criteria for success. I need to make this much money to be able to at least feel comfortable and not stressed out every single month. Okay, money check. I need this much free time with my friends and family members, like on a weekly basis. Check. I need to be able to do these things in my job. Like check. Like that's kind of what I wanted to hear. And I didn't really get that as much. It doesn't have to necessarily be a checklist, but that's the only thing. My only critique of his use of stories was I wish I heard a little bit more why those people deemed themselves successful, other than just because he actually interviewed them. It wasn't like he's pulling arbitrary data, right? Like these are specific stories. So I wanted to hear why they felt that they were successful now more so than what they were doing before, and what that shift was, and not just these dramatic shifts. Right. And so I think that was the only negative I had. I know we talked a little bit about the book yesterday before we recorded. I think you guys thought I disliked the book more than I did, but I really just had like a problem with his use of stories. But overall, I think the message is incredible. And I think everyone, should take something away from it. And something he said in the book and also in a lot of his interviews was prioritize fulfillment over conventional means of success is basically it. He says that allows you to be successful and happy. Find out what you enjoy and ask yourself why you enjoy it. And he often used an example of like football. Like if you sit around and watch football every Sunday or whatever, and you're like, man, I really love this. Like, okay, a lot of people love it, but asking yourself why you love watching football, and you might uncover a little bit more about yourself. Like, do you like the strategy of it? Do you like the competitive nature of it? Do you like the stats? What is it that you like about it? And you might be able to uncover a little bit more about what drives you. Like for me in fitness, I don't necessarily love barbell cycling. You know what I mean? Like I don't just like love moving a barbell up and down or like doing intervals. I don't actually love that stuff as much. What I love most about fitness is kind of what we talk, like the research side. Like I really love like knowing more, understanding things at a deeper level. And I think those things motivate me. I do enjoy fitness, don't get me wrong, but I don't think that's what's kept me going forever. Like I just always have to understand why. And that really gets me bought into doing things. And I understand that about myself. Right. And so I keep that going in some capacity. So I think understanding your why is a really big takeaway from the book of like, you might enjoy something, but it might not be for the reason you think. It's not just like, oh, I've always loved football. So football, well, you're not going to make any money or even have any sort of career just watching football. Okay. So like, what is the thing that makes you tick, that why you like it? And that's just one example. And so I think that that's a really good takeaway as well.
Barbell ratings.
Yeah. Joe, what are you giving it?
4.
Whoa.
Ashley. Chocolate lover.
Oh man. Okay. Well, I'll explain that I'm doing a 2.5. I think I liked it. I agree with you. I think it was a great message, but I think a lot of it was front loaded. Like he gave you his 4 pillars of how to do this pretty early on. Like I feel like you could have gotten halfway through the book and read the whole book. So because of that, 2.5. I don't think the message is bad. And I'm saying 0.5 because I use fractional points, unlike some people here. Jerred.
I give it a 4. So I think that brings the current team average to 3.5, which is pretty solid. I think the message is too important for me to rate it more poorly than it was. From, like I said, a technical use of story, like I wish it would have been a little bit different, but I find that I wish everyone would pursue their own means of success a little bit more, and you'd be a lot happier. This happens, like we see it all the time now, like social media and fitness, right? People posting their 6-pack abs and like all these like all these things just and making people jealous and all this other crap, right? Like, so even in fitness, like what's your definition of success? I know when I released how I looked as like part of something I care about, as far as like, because I came from the bodybuilding, my arms got to be a certain size. Like I wish my chest was a little bit bigger, like all this crap, right? Once I was released of that mentally and I no longer cared about any of those things, it's not like you're going to look bad if you just stop caring about those things. It's just, I don't care at all about those things anymore. And that's such a relief. It's like not something I have to worry about. I don't look in the mirror and I'm like, oh man, I wish I was a little bit bigger. And those used to be things that happened to me back in the day. And I don't care about those things anymore. I'm just like, yeah, I'm out here. I'm going to do some work. We'll see what happens. I'm never like, oh man, I got to get a little bit stronger. Like, oh, I wish, I could build a little bit of muscle. Like once you release all those things and you have your ultimate, why am I doing this? What are my success criteria here in fitness? And set those for yourself. That way, when you see other people, you're done. And same with your career, same with if you invest money, like all these, what is your criteria for success? And the reason I bring up investing is because that's maybe the second worst that I see in people who do invest, is they look at what everyone else is doing and they're like, there's always this FOMO, like, oh, should I get into Bitcoin, or is real estate the answer? Or should I do this? Or should I, it's like, what do you feel comfortable with? Like, who cares? Like, we're all going to die. Like you're not going to, get
No
super
one's gonna
rich.
put it on your
like,
tombstone, like what you invested in. Yeah.
yeah, just do whatever you feel comfortable with and like be done with it. Don't think about it any more than that, and because I get asked questions about that crap all the time. Like, I don't know. I don't do what everyone else is doing. I just do what I like doing, and that's about it. And I think if you can define your own success criteria, you're gonna be a lot happier and fulfilled. So really great message. But yeah, book.
Which would be the S&P 500. Sorry.
Yeah.
Talking about influencers makes you want to vent about somebody here, but we don't need to do that.
Who are we venting about?
What?
Somebody in the gym here. That is absolutely ridiculous.
Oh, you have an influencer at your gym?
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. We have one of those at my kids. It's either Graham's or Williams there. We have like an influencer mom. I don't know what you call it. They just Instagram their life about doing stuff. And
I would hate it. I would absolutely hate that.
Yeah,
Scott would kill me. Scott would be like, get off your phone.
Yeah, we've been to a few events, and that's the thing, right? And hey, if you need to support your family, you do whatever you have to. I don't care.
Yeah, these people make so much money. It's crazy.
And she makes a lot of money, and it's just like we can be in an event, like a school event or whatever, and she's not off of her phone the entire time. It's like, I'm so glad you're seeing your kids today.
Yes, exactly. Be present.
But who am I to judge? Maybe she's happy and fulfilled, and that is her success criteria. Or maybe she secretly hates it and wishes she could stop. I don't know. Maybe I don't. Who knows?
She should read Dark Horse and find out.
Yeah. All right. Get into this workout. Who's got it?
I'll do it. All right. So after you have your Keiko, Confused 2K is the workout. It will be 10 rounds per time, and you'll go 200-meter row or run, and then you will front rack hold the barbell at the same duration you do the 200-meter row at. So if it takes you a minute and a half, 90 seconds to do a 200-meter row or run, then you will hold your barbell on the front rack for a minute and a half. And you'll do that same 1-to-1 for all of your 10 rounds, which is why the row comes first. Competitor weight is your body weight. Established is 60 to 75% of your body weight, and recruit is 40 to 45% body weight or less. So you just kind of govern on yourself. I can tell you what, front rack hold at body weight is pretty freaking hard for, a 200-meter row, which could be a minute or two. So that's that.
Get a partner.
Thoughts? Yeah, get a partner so that they can grunt at you to make you go faster.
Jerk.
So always,
It'll always be this workout. It's the Jerred workout. I said don't go too hot out the gate for round one. You've got 10 full rounds of this.
But then it's less work on the
hold on. Excuse me. My tip. Get out of here. No, look, you think the front rack hold is the break. It is not. Like exactly what Joe said. That thing sucks. So it's gonna suck for 10 rounds. Just embrace it. Like you got to get it done. So, but yes, I mean, don't sandbag the 200-meter row. I mean, you definitely get it done, but like, again, try to do something that you can sustain for 10 total rounds that you're not just crazy hot out the gate. And then I said for this one, I would need some rock heavy metal, like push me through this darn thing. But for all those listening, we talked about this, I think last podcast, maybe not. Zone 2 version of this. I feel like who brought up the zone 2 of like every single
somebody in the Facebook group. I don't remember who it was, but
I think it started with like trying it for Condition Me to the Grave, then it just spun into doing it some other ones. I think Ashley said you were going to start to do more.
The only problem with that idea, you'll have to time cap. Like a lot of workout MYS don't have a time cap, so you'll just have to set your own time cap, or else you could be training
like
for
an
hours.
hour. Like this could be a hour time cap. I mean, just if you needed to get a session in or something like that. But anyways, that's what I'm going to do. Joseph, what are your tips?
You might need to caveat the front rack hold, because I think your heart rate could spike above zone 2 after a while.
That's what I'm saying. Like the front rack hold is the thing that sucks. It's not the row. It's the darn hold for me. But
And the next
According
time,
to Jerred, you just go fast.
Well, normally like an
next time-
isometric contraction doesn't shoot up the heart rate too much. Do you guys find that to be different for yourself?
If I'm doing wall sits, or if I'm doing a long front leaning rest, sometimes my heart rate does get up. Like we've talked about this, mine does differently than yours, because you said yours goes down.
Yeah, like I'll drop into like zone 1, but my muscles don't agree with that sentiment at all. Like I'll be like, if I'm doing like a long plank, my body's like, this hurts, everything sucks, but my heart rate is like, we're fine. Like no big deal.
Weird.
But
All
my
right,
plank
next
is
time
up.
I'll send you down.
Yeah. And I think also with this one is that when you're in the front rack, the bars can be like your elbows are going to be pushed down on your lungs. So your breathing might be a little more shallow, which could bump up your heart rate.
Up too.
Anyway, just things to think about. And actually, next time Jerred started to grunt at you to go faster, just tell him you're attaining your own fulfillment.
I've set my success criteria for this workout, and you're not included.
Yeah. There you go.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, I don't really have much. These I would say really, really warm up and get your front rack hold in, because if you do go into your front rack and your elbow is already low, like the higher your elbows are, the more locked in you are, the easier it's going to be to stay in the front rack. So stretch out your lats, stretch out your triceps, really work on getting those elbows high and holding those elbows high, because once they start to drop, you're just going to be in a world of hurt. So this is a good time to work on that, and try not to do the cross arms in the front.
Oof, yeah.
I guess, yeah.
You always think that's a good idea until you do it, and then
much less engagement. You get, it's pretty much all ab core right there. You're not getting any of your lats, any of your upper back.
that's what you realize once you do it. You're like,
So
this kind of hurts. I'm going to cross my arms, and then you do it, and you're like, damn it, I shouldn't have done that.
You know what? Go ahead, give it a try.
Yeah.
See what happens.
Yeah. All right, Jerred.
Yeah, I don't have a lot. This one is kind of gamed for you. So you get to pick what you want to do. If you want to abandon kind of sustainable and repeatable here, then just fluctuate with like what you think is better. Because there kind of are two camps. You know, one of these is going to suck more for you. And I do think the row or the interval is going to suck a lot less, as Ashley kind of stated, because you would have to go incredibly hard for that short of a distance to make that suck a lot, but maybe try it one of the 10 rounds, right? Like maybe just try it once and be like, okay, I got that done super fast. And now I don't have to hold this weight that long, and see what that feels like. And then try another one where you go zone 2, maybe make it your first and second. First, go as fast as you can, hold that front rack. And then second, do zone 2 as kind of like a recovery on the row, and then hold it for however long that is, and see which one of those you enjoy more, and do that one more consistently. Because who knows? Everyone's different. Like our isometric contractions are different. Maybe your front racks are different. Who knows? I do know holding anything in the front rack for more than about 5 seconds sucks. So it's going to suck no matter what. Doesn't really matter how you slice it. It's just how much suck do you want is the...
I can just envision someone just like passing out though. Can you go like 10 RPE on your first row, and then you go to hold your body weight?
Oh, which reminds me, don't lock out your knees. Like I feel like we always forget. I think I say that in the athlete brief.
You do.
Yeah, don't lock out your knees. I've seen a lot of that in the military, people standing at a position of attention and they lock their knees and then they fall down. And it's normally very damaging. It's not like a...
You hit your head probably.
Yeah, it was like funny the first time you see it, and then you realize people are getting concussions and stuff. You're like, oh, this is serious. Nate, everybody, don't lock your knees. Like, don't do it. So yeah, don't do that, because I think locking your knees and passing out with like 100 whatever pounds, that's gonna be pretty painful.
Not a good combo.
Yeah, and if that happens to you, we will delete any trace of this workout ever existing. No, I'm kidding. We already told you, don't lock out your knees. But I think that's it. Any other tips, tricks, strategies, ideas?
And if you want to get just like kind of goofy, or for tracking, or for just a challenge, you can set, since there's 10 rounds and there's 10 settings on these Concept 2
oh
damper,
my gosh.
Start 1-1, and then round 2 you bump it up to 2, round 3
That's the ladder approach.
Yeah,
I like that. Or start at 10 and go down.
Rounds.
Yeah, I'd rather 10 and go down. It makes it better.
Pick your poison.
Yeah, the first set of anything really doesn't count. I don't know if that it never counts. It's always easy the first time.
You crack me up. I'm doing work no matter what. That darn thing counts.
That first interval, you're like, wow, I feel great. I could do this all day. And then the second round, you're like, probably not. I don't even know if I'll make it 6. And then
by the second, that's pretty sad.
That's how River Ice went.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's all we have for you today. So eat your dark chocolate before this workout and get going.
Dark horse.
Again, Ron, thanks for the suggestion. And if anyone else has any suggestions about some science that we should cover, not products you want us to review, we're getting some of that. I'm getting some of those. I've seen that coming up, and I don't have any advice on that. But as far as the science, we can dive into it and look at it a little bit more. Dark chocolate and Keiko. Is that what we're saying, Joe?
No.
Seems to have a lot of positive benefits and something that you should definitely try out. They're like, I found cacao. I found cocoa. I couldn't find this Keiko you're talking about. It starts with a K. You can really only find it in Russia. You'll have to go check it.
Oh gosh.
Anyway, we'll get out of here. Thanks everybody who is a part of the community. We really appreciate you doing the workouts and staying consistent. Get your daily over decades challenge in and keep reporting in the group on our monthly posts there that we have. And if you want to try out our training, go to garagegymathlete.com, sign up for that 14-day free trial. And for my weekly reminder, if you don't kill comfort, comfort will kill you. To the Garage Gym Athlete podcast. If you want to learn more, go to garagegymathlete.com. You can learn about our training. Let us send you a copy of our book, The Garage Gym Athlete, or you can even get featured on the Garage Gym Athlete podcast. Thanks for listening.